Hello! Welcome to our Market Insight webinar on Taiwan. I'm Rupert, Deputy Director here at the Canadian Trade Office in Taipei.
I'm Sonia, Trade Commissioner for the ICT sector.
I'm Judy, CTA Coordinator in Taipei.
Taiwan has a growing and dynamic market economy, and with a GDP growth rate of 2.98% in 2020, it is one of very few economies that experience positive growth. Taiwan is Canada's 15th largest trading partner, and our bilateral trade surpassed $8 billion last year.
Did you know 90% of the worldwide server, 80% of the worldwide PC are made by Taiwanese companies? In fact, Taiwanese ICT companies play an important role in the global supply chain. Let's take EV as an example. 75% of the Tesla's supply chain came from Taiwanese ICT companies.
And do you know, we launched Canadian Technology Accelerator Program in Taipei in late 2018. And every year, we accept 10 to 12 Canadian tech companies in Taiwan. We help them connect with the local industries.
Following this Market Insight webinar, we encourage you all to reach out to any of us to help you grow and expand here in Taiwan. Now, over to our industry expert.
Hi everyone, I'm Roger Huang from Digitize Research. Thanks CTOD for having me in this webinar. I'm very happy to have this opportunity to give a short talk on this topic. Since the outbreak of COVID-19 pandemic, we have experienced the tremendous changes in the industry. For Taiwanese companies, we are looking for the next momentum of ICT industry. Right now, electric vehicles seems to be the consensus of many industry people here in Taiwan. On the other hand, there are quite a number of leading-edge tech companies in the automotive supply chain in Canada. In this short presentation, I will spend some time to give a brief on Taiwanese ICT industry. And then I would like to highlight the way that Taiwanese ICT firms penetrate into EV industry. I think today's presentation just opened up the windows of dialogue between Canada and Taiwan on EV industry. CTOT has done a great job in bridging both sides. I can expect more and more collaboration cases coming out in the future. Okay, now, some of you may know Taiwan quite well. The land size of Taiwan is not big, but there are about 8.6 million households with population about 23 million. It's quite a crowded place. As for ICT service penetration and the usage are over 80%. So we generally will say that ICT average literacy is very high and people here are willing to try high-tech stuff. Therefore, it's easy to attract early adopters in Taiwan. The other side of the high-tech literacy is the industry. Taiwan has well-developed industrial clusters, so that it's quite convenient for doing ICT business here. Of those clusters, many of you will think of Hsinchu Science Park first. The industry there are many IC manufacturing and optoelectronics. As the companies in Hsinchu Science Park grows, government has created Central and the Southern Science Park subsequently. Now, these three science parks lay the solid foundation for the semiconductor industry in Taiwan. We can see the importance of Taiwanese semiconductor industry recently as a shortage of automotive IC in the world. In addition to the semiconductor industry, we have strong precision machinery and green energy industry in the central part of Taiwan. Kaohsiung is another important city in the southern part of Taiwan. There are clusters of optoelectronics, communications, environmental technology industry. In addition to the manufacturer-based clusters, we promote software industry as well. We have Nangang Software Park, which is not far from the venue of Computex event. Besides, from Taipei, Taoyuan to Hsinchu, the northern part of Taiwan, there are lots of electronics companies along the No. 3 highway. It forms a high-tech corridor within 1 hour traffic. If you have a chance coming to Taiwan, this corridor is like one-stop shopping for ICT solutions. Now, I would like to emphasize the importance of ICT sectors in Taiwan. From a revenue point of view, near 66% of all listed companies' revenue is from ICT-related firms. Computer and peripheral equipment gains the largest portion of the revenue pie, which has 31% of all, followed by other electronics category, which has notable companies like Foxconn, Kimpo Group belong to this category. The third largest category is semiconductor. Companies like TSMC, UMC, and MediaTek belong to this category. From this chart, we can say that Taiwan is ICT hardware oriented. Smart applications are the core policy focus now in Taiwan. In the past, government would set up goals for specific products or components, more hardware-oriented thinking. As the coming of IoT, mass customization became new roles of business operation. In addition, facing the challenge of low-price competition of pure hardware, industry people would like to leverage their hardware capabilities to build up total solutions. For example, digital transformation has become the main theme for companies all over the world. Those Smart Plus X shown at this slide, not only hardware in those applications, but also software, systems, and business model inside. Since May 20, 2020, President Tsai started her second term of president. She announced the next step for Taiwan industry to be promote 6 core strategic industries as shown at this slide. I will not go through the detail of each industry, but I would like to mention the first 2, which is information and digital and the cybersecurity industry. The ingredients of the first 2 industries are AI, 5G, IoT, cloud, high-performance computing, and semiconductors. It's the original strength of Taiwan. The government wants to strengthen the industry position further in these sectors. They also want to move values up by encouraging application-driven innovation in these sectors. So now, let's take a look at the evolution of automotive supply chain. Traditionally, due to the technical complexity and the specialization of work, automotive industry is a linear supply chain. Furthermore, consumers own vehicles. Car brands dominate the development of cars. Companies along the supply chain just follow the roadmap of car brands. As the upsurgence of EV, first, there are near 40% less of components in EV compared with fuel cars. Secondly, some components like battery or motor are playing key roles in the overall design. For car brands might skip Tier 1 suppliers and go direct to the battery or motor suppliers in order to secure critical components. Other parts suppliers might bypass Tier 1 suppliers and go direct to car brands as well. The original linear model will be restructured. Besides, car usages are in a different way from today. People use mobility services rather than use cars. Therefore, mobility services providers might dominate the design requirements more than car brands. Some Tier 1 or component suppliers will go direct to mobility services providers. That's what we have seen the changes happening in the automotive supply chain. Although in the post-pandemic times, overall automobile sales will grow slowly, we can see tremendous growth of electric vehicle market in the next 5 years. We expect near 4 million unit sales of EV in 2021 with 38% year-on-year growth. The growth momentum comes from more aggressive goal of banning the sales of fossil fuel vehicles globally. Several governments have already announced the deadline of fuel vehicle sales to be 2030 to 2035. For those incumbent car makers, if they cannot adapt to this trend, they might experience huge decline in revenue. The traditional car makers and their supply chain partners are accelerating product and business transformation. On the other hand, those EV startups and ICT-related firms take this as great opportunities. We expect the EV penetration rate will be 14% in 2025, and the annual sales volume of EV will be near 12 million at that time. As I mentioned earlier, Taiwan's industry trends focus on ICT, but many of the companies are concerned about a saturated market of computing and the consumer electronics. Furthermore, Taiwanese companies worry about the trend of concentrated customer relationship and the razor-thin margins. They found EV will be the next big thing and already invest lots of resources in this sector. From this slide, we can see many Taiwanese firms play key roles in 4 major EV subsystems, that is powertrain, battery, IVI, and ADAS. Now I would like to give more details by 3 cases. The first one, and the most notable one, is Foxconn. We all know that Foxconn is the major assembler of Apple's iPhone. He is the largest ICT manufacturer in the world, with revenues $173 billion in 2020. Electric vehicle is the next big thing for Foxconn. Foxconn takes a different approach to EV from other Taiwanese companies. He launched MIH Open EV platform in October 2020. MIH aims to be the Android of EV. That means MIH is like an open platform for partners developing EV-related products, services, and applications. We can recall the history of Android. By defining software and hardware framework, Foxconn would like to speed up the readiness of EV ecosystem. In addition to MIH, Foxconn has announced joint venture with Fiat Chrysler and China's GD Motors. He also announced collaborations with newcomers like Byton and Fisker. These strategic moves of Foxconn deliver the message that Foxconn will not adopt ODM-only model in EV sector. To be more aggressive, Foxconn wants to be the enabler of next-generation mobility solutions. Quanta is another EMS giant from Taiwan. Quanta's approach to EV starts from in-vehicle navigation or entertainment devices. Since the inception of AI hype, Quanta has invested lots of resources into autonomous driving solutions. He is the close partners with AI chipset vendors like NVIDIA and more. Today, Quanta is the supplier of Tesla's autopilot ECU. He has co-developed with Google and Apple on autonomous driving solutions as well. Since the coming of 5G and the Internet of Vehicles, Quanta is focusing on the edge-to-cloud computing and developing 5G end-to-end products and solutions. Pegatron embraces a strategy of producing key components on ODM basis, mainly for Tesla. Pegatron produces a variety of car-use components, including wireless communication modules, ECUs, in-car tablets, wire harness, mechanical parts, voltage transformers, and charging piles. The company has become a supplier of ECUs and home-use power charging piles for Tesla, and the in-car tablets for Audi and the Toyota Motors. While Pegatron has less than 10% of consolidated revenues coming from car-use components currently, there is large growth potential for such products. To sum up my presentation, I think there will be many ways for Canada-Taiwan collaborations on EV. For Taiwanese ODM or EMS giants, they are like the flagships of the entire Taiwanese ICT sectors. As those giants extended their focus from ICT to EV, it definitely will attract more Taiwanese firms jump into this area. MIH could be one of the models that leads the way, but we can see other manufacturing giants adopt different approaches to build their own ecosystems. The strengths of Taiwanese companies are components manufacturing right now, but subsystems or systems will be the next focus. Automotive industry is different from ICT industry. The software and hardware requirements for cars are stricter and more robust than consumer electronics. It takes a long time for Taiwanese companies to get proven records in automotive sectors. In addition to technologies, industry-specific issues and customer relationships are critical as well. Although we can see some breakthrough for Taiwanese companies in recent years, but there are more to explore. Canada's automotive industry is well known all over the world. Canadian industry strengths can complement with Taiwanese companies in many ways, like software, industry-specific issues, and customer relationships. By leveraging each other's strengths, I think we can reach a win-win situation in EV. Once again, today's presentation just opens up the windows of dialogue. We expect more and more successful cases on EV industry for Canada and Taiwan in the near future. That concludes my presentation, and thanks for your watching.